Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Ask, Learn, Grow, the show where the Reef team answer questions and share updates and insights from the digital marketing industry. I'm joined today with our resident data wizard, Mike Attard, and we're going to be talking about PII in the context of Google Analytics. So Mick, I guess over to you. What kind of constitutes, when we say PII, we're talking about personally identifiable information. So what kind of constitutes PII? And yeah, do you want to take away the show on this week's topic?
Cool. So yeah, personally identifiable information can be things like email address, phone number, first and last name, mailing address, basically anything that allows Google to be able to identify you as a person. And that's actually against Google's terms and conditions.
Yeah, that's right. And it can be quite easily done, this, can't it, as well with GA, because quite a few website configurations might unknowingly pass, in the attempt to sort of pass data through into the back-end system, can unknowingly transfer the data such as name and email from contact forms into GA as part of that journey. So what can happen if there is a breach of PII and in this example in Google Analytics?
Yeah, so basically if we do see a breach in PII happen and Google does catch wind of it, you'll generally get an email saying, hey, yeah, we found PII in your account, you're in breach of our T's and C's, and you can be in danger of actually having your Google Analytics account terminated. And we've actually had a situation in the past where, prior to coming on board with us, one of our clients had a similar sort of breach and they had to basically start their Google Analytics again from scratch. So yeah, you'll lose all that historical data, you'll lose access to everything from there, and you'll basically have to start from day one again.
So basically, the sooner you can address this and get a new GA in place, the sooner you're going to start collecting clean data. And when the old GA is retired, obviously you've got more of a historical record sort of the further time goes on. So time is of the essence, really, is I guess what we're kind of trying to say. All right, is there a potential fix for any of this, or like an easy fix for people to follow should this situation arise?
Yeah, definitely. So if you have GTM or Google Tag Manager installed on your site, it is a much easier fix to do because you can do everything via that. So firstly, you'd have to identify whether you are actually collecting PII. Most of the time, this is going to come through in your page reports. And it will be in the actual page URL because the form on the site's using the post method and pushing that via the URL. So a quick way to check for that would be to kind of go to your page reports, and the easiest one to look for is an email address because they all have the @ symbol. So you can just do a search for the @ symbol and see what's showing up. Once you've identified kind of which pages those PII instances are coming through on, what you can do is you can actually go into GTM and have a custom tag which triggers on that site, on that particular URL, and that will then fire off. You can set it to basically overwrite the existing analytics setup on there and fire off a new page view and overwrite the URL of the page which would have PII in it and have that overwritten with just a clean URL. So for instance, if you've noticed that on your site, your thank you for signing up to our newsletter URL is say thank you -newsletter email equals mike@reefdigital.com.au. What you can then do is you can go to that page within GTM and say, okay, well, thank you -newsletter, overwrite the page view URL with just that, rather than letting it kind of take the URL from the actual site, because that would contain the PII.
Essentially what you're saying there is it'll sort of listen for the URLs that you specify and then go over the top and overwrite it and strip out any PII that's being passed through, such as the email address from a thank you page form.
Exactly. And then you can also add that as an exclusion trigger for your just standard page view code as well, just to make sure that on that page, rather than having your page view fire and then your kind of sanitized page view fire, only the sanitized page view will fire.
Don't suppose you've got this documented, have you, Mick, that we might be able to share underneath the video?
I can put something together. Yes, the documentation that I had was very client specific, but I can put something together which is a little bit more sort of catch-all, I suppose, for that. So I can put together a couple of just easy steps on that. There is also some code out there which will automatically look for URLs and replace it with a string for redacted. Automatically look for emails and replace it with a string for redacted email. But that requires a little bit more sort of in-depth HTML and JavaScript knowledge, whereas it's a solution that I put into place. It can be done by pretty much anyone with a working knowledge of GTM.
Great stuff. So I think important to note just before we wrap up this call is a lot of people won't even be aware that they may have this data being passed into GA. So just to reiterate on this particular point, the first thing to do, and probably the most common, is have a look in which report again, Mick? Just remind everyone.
So you're looking at the pages report. So within that, kind of you'll be able to set a filter to filter by page URL, and some things to look for in that would be sort of the @ symbol for looking for email addresses, or even for Gmail or Yahoo Mail or those popular services for that. Phone number is a little bit more difficult to do. You'd have to use a regular expression for an alphanumeric, for a numeric string that's of a certain length, and that can trigger some false positives depending on kind of how your structure is. For names, I'd suggest doing common names like Michael, John, James, whatever. Looking for those and seeing if those pop up. And for addresses, maybe looking for things like street or drive or something like that to kind of see if that's going to come up as well.
Great. Definitely worth 5 minutes of your time just to do a quick search in that report and just to see if any data is being passed through in this particular instance anyway. Great stuff. Okay, thanks for that, Mick. Definitely a good thing to add to your sort of audit or a quick 5 minute check now to double check this particular item. If you've got any questions about Google Analytics or anything to do with today's call, please feel free to send them in and we're always happy to help. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to be notified of when the next video is available. Apart from that, thanks all for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.